A midlife crisis is more than just a cultural stereotype. It's a real psychological struggle that can surface between the ages of 40 and 60. Often triggered by aging, loss, or unmet expectations, it can actually lead individuals to question their identity, make impulsive choices, or abruptly abandon long term commitments. While not officially classified yet as a mental illness, the emotional and relational fallout is very real, especially for the spouses and families left behind. This podcast gives voice to those living through the aftermath, exposing the hidden pain, and seeking accountability, healing, and understanding. Thank you for joining us today on MLC Bomb Drop and Beyond. The stories and events discussed in this podcast are for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or professional advice. Any names, locations, or identifying details have been changed to protect privacy. Any similarities to actual persons, living or dead, or real events are purely coincidental. The information presented on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. Always consult with a qualified expert regarding any decisions related to your specific situation. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the podcast creators. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. So this is a slightly different episode because it is a letter I received. I actually received a few emails from a husband that is he's the left behind spouse. He's in his 50s, 22-year marriage. And it's been a few years. He's now divorced, but he went through hell and back. And he discovered the podcast and has been listening to several episodes. And he has been horrified at what he's heard, some of the women have gone through. So he's been so kind because it just bothers him to no end. And he wrote in, and I checked with him, and I asked if I could read this on the show instead of sending it to each woman individually. So, and he said, yes, that would be great. And, there's so many of you that have not been on the show. And so if you're, a left behind spouse that's going through, this whole MLC nightmare, I want you to know that his letter came in and the sentiments that he's sharing with us today are for all of you, whether you're male or female, really, because he lived it. He is living it presently. But for him, when he heard the women's stories, it just really shook him to the core. So I'm going to read you excerpts from his email. Here we go. Thank you so much for your content because just about every single point you make in your videos seems to match what I have seen in the rearview mirror of my life over the last few years. I honestly still have a hard time believing that MLC even exists, even though I have lived it up close and personal. In my mind, I still cannot believe anyone could blindly do such harm to the people they are supposed to love and protect. If your goal in making this content was to try and help and minister to people who have been damaged by MLC, then I can assure you that it hits its mark. It hasn't changed the tragic circumstances of my family, but at least in a small way, it's helped me feel less crazy. I am still here listening to Maggie, your latest podcast guest. I myself am shocked and infuriated listening to this lady. I personally want to find this man and physically assault him myself. There is no excuse for this level of selfishness in any human being. I'm sorry, MLC is not an excuse for being a substandard human being. How could anyone watch their spouse go through the horrors of cancer and very intentionally not be there to support her? I know that we are trying to understand what the MLC folks are going through, but no amount of mental health imbalances and struggles can ever justify being a horrible human. Thank you again for this amazing ministry you are providing to so many very hurt and broken people. Listening to women like Maggie just infuriates and brings out my very protective instincts, as I very much believe that as men, we are called to protect women, particularly those who we have chosen to be directly responsible for. While I have been through a lot of horrible things at the hand of my MLC spouse, I simply can't imagine the disrespect and indignation this woman has been subjected to. And then he continued with another letter the next day, because after hearing more episodes, here's the next letter. I have now listened to Maggie's story and Stacy's story multiple times, and obviously the short details of, I think, your own experience with MLC spouse. Please pass on to these ladies that as a very average and boring American male, and specifically a man coming from a married background, the overwhelming majority of men that I know and associate with would find it hard, if not impossible, to not put their hands on any man that we witness do the things to their wives and children that these women disclose. I can count on one hand the number of men I have encountered over 50 years who openly admitted or validated this type of behavior. Unfortunately, one of those was my own father, which tells you why I am so triggered by such behavior. Please let these ladies know that I would apologize on behalf of all men, although that is not possible. I'm guessing that for these ladies, as well as many others, it feels impossible that there are a majority of married men out there who not only would never consider behaving this way, but are also so disgusted by it that we would just stand up and defend any woman who is victimized by such. This is the justified role that fathers and brothers traditionally served to protect families and the women in their families. I don't know if that was the case for either of these women, but I thoroughly believe we need to bring back those traditions. These ladies deserve to know that they are deserving of being defended from such horrible treatment from the one individual who had the number one responsibility for being their protectors. So many of us out here are suffering the poke of so many knives. How can humanity be this broken? Wow. Well, I really, truly thank him so much for sending in his emailed letters and for caring so much. And it's a good reminder that, yeah, a lot of us have had to experience the whole MLC bomb drop, but there's a lot of good people out there that would never do this. And maybe ideally, if they see the MLC thing coming around the corner, maybe get into treatment early or work through it with their spouse. And you guys know, we've got Kenda Ruth Stumpf over at the Hero Spouse that provides all types of support to keep you guys from spiraling out of control. We've got Lori McDermott, the wife expert, thewifeexpert.com on Yahoo and on her apps that you can reach out to her and try to reel in your spouse before they get out of control and before they really get into the tunnel. So I really appreciate him sending in this letter and sharing how, recognizing how devastating it is for people. Nobody should have to go through this. Anyway, I just want all of you to know out there that your stories are being heard. Your voice is being heard. You are not alone. And together we will raise awareness of MLC. So thank you so much for listening today. And please share this podcast with any of your friends that might need support or to understand what you're going through. So anyway, thank you so much. And keep those letters coming. MLCbombdrop@gmail.com. Thanks so much, you guys. And stay awesome and stay authentic. Thanks again, you guys, for tuning in to Midlife Crisis, Bomb Drop, and Beyond, we have reached nearly 10,000 downloads. We have hundreds of subscribers, if not over 1,000. You guys, forward-moving spouses, you are not alone. Left behind spouses, you are not alone. Those in crisis, you are certainly not alone. This is just crazy how epidemic this has become. I have a waiting list now of people from around the world that I'm trying to get to. And if you've been through a midlife crisis or been impacted by someone else's and you want to share your story, I'd love to hear from you. Hang in there, you guys. I will get to all of you. Please reach out to me at mlcbombdrop@gmail.com and visit us on Facebook and Instagram, MLC Bomb Drop. And just remember, your voice matters. Your story could be the one that helps someone else feel seen. It could help someone else feel heard. And it will help somebody else feel understood. You are not alone, no matter where you are in your journey. If the bomb was just dropped, the earthquake just happened, if you are 7 or 8 years in and you're coming out of starting to wake up and awaken to this, you are not alone. It's sad that this is epidemic, but we're here to provide support. So until next time, take care and live authentically each and every day. Thanks again, you guys.